Alright kids, Cookie Critic's back. It's been like over a year since my last episode of the Cookie Critic. A lot of you assumed I retired. A lot of you were right. But you're wrong now, because things just changed.
Oh shit!
So as you can see, I grew up and got some class. I also got a reviewing partner.
It's me.
Yeah. So now we're going to review pizzas instead of cookies, because that seems much more interesting and compelling as far as furthering my career as a critic of food. Okay. So today we're going to start with a classic. We picked this one up at Target for, I want to say, $4. It was a really good deal. So let's see how it stacks up. You kids already know the drill. We're doing flavor and texture and all that goodness. This one's Red Baron.
You've seen this face before at the supermarket. Now know what he tastes like.
Yeah, this is an old favorite of mine. This is the normal classic crust. We went with 4 cheese. The 4 cheeses are mozzarella, cheddar, provolone, and parmesan. And we figured, you know, instead of tarnishing it with flavor, with toppings, we just see for first go how the crust of the cheese goes. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll revisit some of these and do toppings, but we don't always agree on toppings. So here it is. And first we're going to do texture. You know how it goes. Okay, so this is the texture of the pizza while frozen, pre-baked. It's very flat. The crust has a kind of boring color, but I'm overwhelmingly surprised by how much cheese there is, how thoroughly mixed it is, and what different kinds of cheeses I can see. They weren't lying about 4 cheeses.
Yeah, normally when this is 4 cheese, it's really still mozzarella with hints of other ones. This is clearly a mix. I'm very happy to see that.
Pretty good stuff. Sauce, you can't quite see, but you see it peeking underneath, and it looks like it's spread fairly evenly around. Again, average maybe a little bit. Yeah, or average. I'd say cheese above average, sauce average, and the crust is a little bit below average. I'd like a little bit.
There's not much width past the cheese.
Not a lot of width past the cheese. So for me, I'm going to have to give this one a very even 2.5 out of 5 cows of milking.
I'm also going to give this one a 2.5 out of 5. I love the presence of the cheese, but you can see that there is some sauce not overflowing, but really there's no crust, if that's your thing, outside of the cheese.
So let's get this one cooked in the oven, and then we'll see what the texture is after that. Alright folks, straight out of the oven, let's see how this puppy looks. We got to get to texture. Okay. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's got a very nice crisp brownness around. The cheese has gotten crisp on the sides.
Still evidence that there's 4 different cheeses.
Absolutely. There's enough cheese that's melted over almost perfectly. There's little hints of sauce in there. But ultimately, this is really baked together quite well. It's still a lot thinner than I would have liked. It's not supposed to be a thin crust pizza. It says classic, classic, traditional crust. So for that, I'm going to have to take some points off. But other than that, a really good display from these folks. They really pulled it out of the bag. Yeah. So for me, this is 4 out of 5 tomatoes.
I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5 tomatoes, simply because it's the crust that is there is still the least appealing part, and there's less of it to me. But the cheese, looking good, sauce, looking good. I am excited to eat it.
Let's give it a whiff. Alright guys, this is smell. You know how it goes. Let's just smell it and see how it smells. Alright, right off the bat, I'm going to say it smells like a pizza, which is good. I'm getting an overwhelming amount of cheese. I don't really taste any, I don't really smell any sauce or crispness of crust. Sometimes that's okay. That's kind of what you want from pizza. You want that cheesy smell. But the one thing that I'll complain about is it's just not that strong of a smell. You have to get real close for you to actually smell it. This whole room is not filled with the whiff of pizza, and to me, intensity is a big part of why you want your pizza to smell, or what makes pizza smell good. So I can't give this anywhere above average. So it's another 2.5 out of 5 noses for me.
I'm actually going to disagree with John on this one. I agree that it's not a super potent smell, but that's not necessarily what I'm looking for. I'm looking for quality, and I like cheese. And when I smelled it, I didn't really necessarily smell processed frozen cheese. I smelled pretty good fresh melted cheese. So I'm actually gonna give this one a 3.5 out of 5 for the smell.
Okay, let's cut this baby up and see how she tastes. Alright kids, this is the moment you've been waiting for. We're gonna see how this Red Baron traditional crust 4 cheese pizza tastes. I gotta say, I'm not that impressed.
The sauce is not particularly exciting.
The cheese is the overwhelming flavor, which is what you're gonna want in a 4 cheese pizza, but it's processed 4 cheeses. I'm gonna get a bite of the crust. Okay. Like I remember from Red Baron, the crust is probably the best part, but since it's so understated and there's not that much of it, I can't really give props to this pizza. It really just tastes like a bland, old, normal, everyday frozen pizza. It's a little crispy, which I like, but that's because it cooks down the oven rack like it's said to do, as opposed to if you wanted it soft on the pan.
No. With me, it really comes down to the sauce. The cheese is fine. I think it smells a little better than it tastes, but the sauce to me is unfortunately not that good. It's a little oversweet. Maybe it's like, it feels a tad closer to ketchup than sauce. Not to say that it's that bad, but it was the first thing that hit me, and I was like, I don't even like it.
That's weird. I'm not going to agree with that. I actually, the more I eat it now, the more I'm kind of enjoying this flavor. I don't see what you're saying about it being too sweet. Although that is normally a criticism I have. The more I get into this, the more I like it, which I guess is kind of what you want from frozen pizza. Still, though, not that appealing overall. I'm going to give this one a very average 2.5 out of 5 pepperonis. That's how I feel.
Well, despite what I said about the sauce, it's still completely edible. In fact, more than edible. It's it's fine. So I'll also give this a 2.5 out of 5.
All right. I do overall. All right. At the end of the day, I gave this one a 2.5 out of 5. For its look, Evan gave it a 2. I gave it a, before it was cooked. After it was cooked, I gave it a 3. Evan gave it a 2.5. I think. Or I gave it a 3.5. You gave it a 3.
Yeah.
After it was cooked, I gave it a 3.5. You gave it a 3. When we smelled it, I couldn't give this thing more than 2, and he gave it a 2.5.
3.5.
I'm sorry, I couldn't give. When we smelled it, I couldn't give this thing more than a 2.5, but he gave it a 3.5. And then finally, with the flavor, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5, pretty average, and he also gave it a 2.5 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, this pizza's a 2.5 out of 5 from both of us.
Mm.
It's a very average pizza. For $4, you're getting what you pay for, unfortunately, and I wish it would have wowed us. But as far as being forced to eat something, you could definitely go a lot worse than Red Baron. Thanks, guys.